Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. There are some planned BR changes that are coming in for April 2025. Remember, this is a preliminary list and a lot of stuff can change. Normally these take about a week to be implemented into the game, and if you want your thoughts and comments and discussions to be passed to the developers, make sure to leave some comments under this video and also get involved on the forums. I'll leave some links in the description so you can get involved in the conversations, and in this video specifically, we're going to talk about the ground forces portion of the Plan BR changes. We'll also have another video that'll have a look at the aircraft stuff and also the naval stuff, which there is slightly less of, so it's a bit easier to have a look at. So let's get into it. When it comes to the footage, I'll try and match it to obviously what we're talking about. Not always the easiest thing to do because I don't have footage of everything, but we'll do it in little blocks. So I apologize if the footage doesn't always match up with the vehicles, but I will leave the BR changes on the actual screen for you so you can see what we're talking about. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's get started. The first changes are for Japan, and it is the Type 81C and also the TKXP. Both of these vehicles are going from 11.3 to 11.7, which sucks because it once again leaves the Type 90s on an island by themselves with no other lineup around them. Before, you could run the Type 90s, you could run the TKX, and then also you could run the Type 81, and this would be a pretty solid lineup. Now they've split it in two, so the problems with top tier Japan continue, where they just don't have enough vehicles in their lineups to really work very well. I'm hoping that in the future, when they add the Thai stuff, it will actually help out this area, because jumping from 9.7 to 11.3 and then also not having a proper lineup has always been the problem with Japan, and it looks like that's going to continue. The Type 81C going up really sucks. It's a very good AA. I get why it has gone up, but it is still massively limited in its range. It struggles against helicopters, it struggles against vehicles which are out of its range, and it faces a lot of stuff which is out of its range, and therefore it just kind of gets donked on. If it can get a lock on something, it will destroy it, but the issue is getting the lock, and that can be quite hard to do. The TKX going up, I understand why it's going up. I wish they gave it a slightly better round, just because it's still rocking the JM33 round. This is the same round that the good old Type 90s use. And if you have a look at the Type 10 and the TKX, which are slightly higher, those guys get the Type 10 round. So it would be nice if they could at least give it something to, with it going up in BR, give it something to kind of compensate, since they've done that with so many other vehicles. The TKXs, the Type 90s, and the Type 10 platform are all really fun. The only issue with the TKX and some of the other ones is, of course, the elevation speed is a little bit rough on the vehicles, so that is kind of the thing you have to work around, but it's not like the end of the world. You can still do it, it's just one of those that you have to kind of calculate for as you're going about, but everything else about them has always been really fun, and with these updated models that are coming in, it's going to nerf these vehicles pretty aggressively, especially with the autoloaders, so to see it go up is kind of surprising. I thought they would wait, especially for like the Thai vehicles to come in, or especially for some of the model changes to come in, to then make these decisions, but it looks like that's not what's going on. There's also two light vehicles that are going up in BR2. We have the VT5, which is the new one that came in, caused a lot of controversy, the VT5, when it was first added. Was it added correctly? Did it have the right rounds? Did it have the right armor? All of these different things. But remember, it is a pretty new vehicle, and when you have a new vehicle, it's going to move around in BR way more than the others. The thing about the VT5 is it has everything you would ever want. It has a very good autoloader, it has the HEVT, has the APF SDS, has the good thermals, smokes, has the LWS. It has everything that makes a kind of light tank very good, and the only thing that it's missing is, of course, like the autocannon. But when you have the DTW2 105 round, you don't really need the autocannon because you're going to be, splitting through things quite aggressively. The thing about the VT5 as well is it didn't have a lineup to run with. It only had the UD or the UDU to actually run with it, which is the event vehicle. So now 11.0, you have the ZT Z99 2 and 3, the MBT 2000. You also have the Tor, the Al-Khalid as well. So this vehicle I don't think really gets nerfed that much from this. It just means that you can't run it as an individual vehicle anymore, but now you run it with a very, very competent lineup. So I don't think it will struggle. It'll just be a vehicle that now you have the choice of what you want to run at the start. Also the Namer, the good old Namer 30. This vehicle is going up from 10.7 to 11.0. Not a huge surprise here. Once again, another vehicle that's on an island, but also they massively buffed the spikes. And if you didn't know with the Namer, because of where its commander site is, this is what you can kind of do with it. You can sit it on a cap. You can use the commander site to just pop people from miles away, target them with the spikes, and then just reload the spikes and just keep doing it over and over again. I actually saw this happen quite a few times where people would sit on caps in the middle of the map and spawn camp by just firing spikes at people as they were coming out of their spawn. It was kind of crazy to watch, actually, and I even tested it myself on one of the Poland maps in the south, where you could sit in the capture point there and you could directly see into the enemy spawn because of the commander site, and then anytime somebody spawned, you just fired a spike and then just did that over and over again, and it was just kind of crazy. So to see that, and also with the survivability of this thing, if it's hull down, no surprise to me that it's going up in BR. The problem is still with this vehicle, though, it still doesn't have a lineup. So it's just one of those which is still in a rough place because of that. You have to use it as a solo carry. Can it be a solo carry? Yeah, of course it can. Like, it can work really well, but at the same time, it just kind of sucks that that's what it's left in. It seems like they're also up-tiering a lot of Israeli vehicles around this BR. The Sabra is going up in BR to 10.0, which is hilarious. The Merkava Mark 2D is going up to 10.0, which isn't too surprising. You know, the Merkavas are always pretty solid tanks. Their armor is really good until you start running into rounds that can pen through that engine, and at 10.0, you're probably getting there, but it still should be completely fine to play. The Sabra is just silly. Like, the Sabra should never go up in BR. There's obviously just one dude who's the king of the Sabra, and he's just pushing up this vehicle higher and higher and higher, because I've only seen it played once or twice in a game, and it's just not a good vehicle. Sorry, it's just how it goes. It's an M60 platform, it's too fat, it's not mobile enough. You know, the gun, like, until you get the 322 shell, you are completely worthless. Putting it up at 10.0 is just silly. So I don't know how else to put it. The idea that this thing should ever be near that 10.7, 11.0 bracket, which is like the premium bracket that you're going to run into, is nuts. I've spaded all of the Megax apart from the Sabra because I just lost complete confidence in them, just because all of them are just so rough to play. So to see one go up is just ridiculous. The other two vehicles in this bracket that are getting changed are the FE4030/3 and also the AMX40. The FE4030/3, I mean, I've talked about it since it was added, needed to go up in BR. It was kind of criminal that it was lower in BR because it's basically just a Challenger with a slightly worse round. It's a really, really good vehicle. So it's been allowed to dominate for the longest time. So to see that thing go up makes a lot of sense to me. For the other vehicle, the AMX40, I generally think it's also a very nice vehicle, but I don't like it going up in BR because now it doesn't have a lineup with it. Before you had the Roland, you had the AMX40, you had the Vextra 105, you could maybe run the Santal and then the VBCI, but now it's going to be left on an island. And that was one of the problems with all of these French MBTs. They do not have full lineups around them, so therefore they're just not very good because you have to solo carry, and they're doing it again with the AMX40, and it just sucks. So unless they have other plans to throw vehicles in at this BR, that just is not good. The next vehicles are going down in BR, which doesn't really surprise me. You have the XM975 and the Florak Panzer 1, both going down to 10.0. And these vehicles are awful. I don't know if any of you have actually played them, but they're okay against helicopters because helicopters can't move that much, but against planes they're completely worthless. After they did those missile changes a little bit back, both of these vehicles have been horrific to play. It isn't even a conversation on whether they're useful or useless. They are just not fun. The missiles are very tough to track. They hardly follow the center of the screen. They don't have enough kind of guidance or overload to be able to follow where you need them to. So all a plane has to do is a very simple little maneuver, and they can't track it. And it's just really, really tiring to use because of this fact. So seeing these goes down, no surprise. The Rapier also goes down, which is good. Obviously, they fixed it, but it's still not really great. Generally, the Rapier has a bit of a problem in terms of its explosive mass and how much it actually triggers, and also all of these things. So to see it go down, not too surprising. It also means that it's a different BR compared to a lot of the other British AAs that are around that BR. So there is now a different lineup that you can bring it with, which is kind of nice because of the fact that it's just one of those types of vehicles that needs to kind of support a lineup instead of be a lineup by itself. Now it has less competition, so therefore there's a reason to take it. The Israeli stuff is continuing to go up. You have the Merkava Mark IIB for the USA, but also the Merkava Mark IIB for Israel, and the 1B are all going up to 9.7. So not too surprising here. Once again, I honestly think the Merkavas, out of all of those vehicles of these BRs for Israel and also America, are really strong. So they also, when they went up in BR the last time, they buffed them with a round. So this is just them going up once again. There was a little bit of decompression as well with ground, if you remember, when it went up to 12.0. So this is kind of like a little restructuring of this area to kind of decompress these places. So not too surprising to see. I just feel like these vehicles being the highest kind of efficiency vehicles at this BR is surprising, since you have all of the German vehicles, which are at 9.3, which is an insanely powerful lineup, and absolutely none of them have been moved. So I don't know what's exactly going on from there. There's also some decompression happening at 8.7 as well. The STRV 103C is going up. That's laughable. I don't know why that vehicle is going up. That vehicle should not go up in BR at all. I get it has a good round. I get it has a good reload, but it has too many problems. And the problem with the 103C, which is the main one, is you cannot rely on your armor. People just pen straight through it, and therefore you die pretty much instantly. So even though you have the thermals, even though you have the good round, it doesn't matter. You also still have an issue with angles and slopes where you can't target efficiently, but that's just the cheese wedge mentality. The T55 AMD is going up, the Drozd, that's good. It should go up. That thing is a menace. Same with the T55 AM1. It's also going up. These things should have gone up a long time ago, and for some reason they just haven't. The T55M for Sweden also goes up. That's fine. That's something I've been playing recently, and it's been very powerful as well, just because it's got that M1000 A1 round, and also just, you know, it's a T55 platform, which generally works pretty good. So all of these going up, I think that's nice. Object 435 going up too. Kind of surprising, but I suppose with the place where the other kind of T62 platforms are, I suppose it makes sense for it to go up, because it does have some dodgy angles with its armor, but it also has the really good gun on the top of it, which, you know, it's always funny that these Soviet prototypes seem to have a massive machine gun on them. But generally, I can see why that one would go up. And the IKV 91105 going up, yep, once again, super powerful light tank, great targeting speed, good stabilizer, thermals, and also good mobility. The only issue with the IKV 91 is when CAS starts coming in, you become a very easy target to destroy, but if you're already at that point, you usually have had a very positive impact on the game. So all of these, you know, make sense. The only one for me that doesn't really make sense is the cheese wedge. The cheese wedge, just spading that thing was not fun, just because you need the mobility to actually be useful. And since most of the mobility upgrades are rank 4, it takes too long to kind of push that through, and it just by the end was not great at all. Like the earlier STRVs are a lot better, or sorry, the earlier 103s are a lot better than the C, just because they can rely on their armor more. But now this 103C just won't even be able to rely on it at all. Also, the T55 AMD, it was removed from the group of the T55A, and it's going to be grouped as the first vehicle in the group of the T62M, which makes sense since it's more of a kind of, well, it's closer to its BR now. And then we have the little nightmare, the XM800T. It is going up in BR once again. It's going from 8.0 to 8.3. This thing is a terror, along with a lot of the other little vehicles that you just never hear and just start braying you with its gun. The thing about the XM800 is it's the best light tank at its BR because it has the stabilizer and the rapid fire gun too, so it can just mince me anything that it sees. I've recently been playing the BMP2MD, which is the Finnish BMP, the squadron vehicle in the Swedish tech tree, running into these things when they basically just do everything better than you, apart from having thermals. It's just kind of ridiculous. Like, their targeting speed is nuts, their mobility is nuts, their optics are nuts. The only issue with the XM800T is you don't start off with the good round. You have to grind it out. And this is another example, by the way, of one of these rapid fire, rapid wheeled vehicles continuously going up in BR. You had it with the Type 87s, and then you've had it with other vehicles. Now it's the XM800T. They'd switch places with the M551 as well. That one's, and also moved to rank 6. So it'll be better for events and stuff like that, and a little bit harder to grind. The Sheridan, or the M551, that one's actually going down to 8.0. So that is fine. You know, 8.0 is actually quite a nice BR for ground for America. So switching these two vehicles, I mean, it makes sense, right? You take the XM800T like a million times over the Sheridan, but now at least the Sheridan could be run with stuff like the M60. It can be run with things like the T54E1 or the Magak 3 if you have those vehicles, and then the XM800T can just slot into that ridiculous 8.3 American lineup where there's just a million vehicles already. So as a swap, I think it's good. I think in general swapping their BRs makes sense. For the Fox, it's going up to 8.0. Once again, just a rat car, which, remember, by the way, they said last year with the Fox that they were actually going to fix, in quotation marks, the post-penetration effect of a lot of these kind of low-caliber APDS rounds. They said that they were going to do it with the Fox and then stuff like the BMPs and the BMDs. They just haven't. And one of the things they said is the reason why they didn't put it up in BR back then was because they were going to do this change. And I didn't see the change. I don't think there has been a change. So I don't know what happened to that. But now we're months later, and now they're putting it up in BR anyway. So what was the point in all of that? Basically, you just let the Fox run rampant for 3 to 4 months instead of putting it up in BR where it deserved to be. If you haven't played the Fox, it's super fun. Once again, a vehicle that does struggle with the fact that it doesn't get its good round as a base round. But once you get that good round, you realize that when you penetrate stuff, it does a ton of damage, which is very, very powerful. A lot of the French vehicles are also going up in BR, or the autoloader boys. I've talked about this before, and I'll just keep mentioning it until they stop moving these things. France, between like 6.0 and 8.0, is ridiculously powerful. The autoloaders basically mean you outload everything. The AP on a lot of the vehicles means that you can just keep hammering vehicles over and over again. They either have scouting or they have other parts to them, whether it's mobility or post-penetration damage, which really carries them very well. And now we have the AMX-13s going up. The AMX-13, the Israeli one, the French one, and also the SS-11 are all going up to 7.0. So they are obviously continuing to perform really well. They used to be like 6.3 or 6.0 if I remember, so they are really doing good. And then also the AMX M4 is going up in BR2. Once again, no surprise to me. All of these vehicles are great. Like this block of BR changes, everything just makes complete sense to me. ZSD 63 PG87, that's going up in BR. That kind of sucks. That vehicle, I feel like, shouldn't go up in BR. because of just the fact that you're going to run out of AAs once again in the mid-tiers if you keep putting up all of the AAs that you put in to try and fix the mid-tiers. So yeah, it should be switching with the Fong Kong though, since the Fong Kong is already lower BR than it. I've never really understood why they weren't switched, but now they're getting switched, so I think that's completely fair. And then the KV7 U13 is going up in BR to 4.3, and the KV1S is also going up in BR, which generally I think is pretty good. So those changes, you know, heavy platforms, if they get in a down tier, you just can't kill them. It's as simple as that. We've talked about that with the KVs for a long time. They are pretty insane vehicles in terms of it, and I feel like generally them going up in BR is a positive thing. So looking at all of these vehicles, right, I think in general, there isn't really many of them that I disagree with. Like the Sabra, definitely. The STRV 103C, definitely. There's arguments to be made for the AMX-13s not going up in BR, but I feel like their utility as a scout really pushes them up. But mostly, I think these are great changes. I don't really see any that kind of stands out as really, really bad ones, right? Like ones I just don't agree with at all. So this looks like a positive list. Let me know what you think of the list and also what other changes you would make. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.